How well does an Osmo Pocket 3 match a cinema camera, and together can they emulate a much more expensive Netflix show? What you're about to see is a segment from KTLA 5 in Los Angeles that I did for work, and it is a segment that combines the Osmo Pocket 3 and also the FX3. Afterwards, we'll talk about it. Dearest KTLA viewers, something wonderful has occurred. I've been watching the limited television series Ripley on Netflix. I've been especially taken by its setting. Italy in the early 1960s, the beginning of La Dolce Vita. Unfortunately, I have neither time machine, nor schedule, nor any money, but I wanted to see if I could eat, drink, and experience a life like that right here in Los Angeles. But without all the murdering. We're okay without the murdering. Sincerely, Andy. So yes, how to live like you're in Ripley's 1960s Italy right here in Los Angeles. Come with me and my friends as we try to take a trip in search of the aesthetic or vibe of our favorite movies and TV shows. It's not a lot cheaper than therapy. So to start, LA and Italy are very much alike. They have similar climates, and there's always a lot of middle-aged guys out in public at all hours of the day. There's the Venice canals, San Pedro's Little Italy, and Catalina could be a stand-in for the cliffs of the Mediterranean if you squint hard enough. LA's Hollywood Hills are full of Spanish architecture, but there's also Italian. The Hollywood High Tower built in the style of a bell tower, or campanile, from Bologna. That's Italian for bologna. Now, a bunch of these homes are accessed only by walking streets. People who live here get to take the elevator, but for anybody who just wants to walk around, you have to be like Tom and hoof it. It's absolutely free and open to the public if you got the gams. Chin chin. It's time for a drink. Classic sips in a Bella setting with views of a certain kind of sweet life. It is Dante in Beverly Hills. This is the second Dante, which started in New York more than 100 years ago.
Dante is known as one of the best bars in the world, and they are specifically known for their Italian cocktails.
That's Paul Feinstein. He wrote the book on cocktail culture in Italy, which gave him some fun insights about the way they drink in Ripley.
The 60s, La Dolce Vita comes into the drinking culture, the eating culture, the sweet life of Italy. So you see a lot of people in the show drinking vermouth neat because there wasn't any ice. When they get a refrigerator and there's a freezer to get ice, everyone's like, what? Come to a place like Dante to have that perfect martini or that perfect Negroni Sbagliato and live La Dolce Vita in Los Angeles.
And while this is BH, the prices don't have to be.
Dante has a martini hour from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock every single day, and the martinis are $10.
And after that, it's time for dinner, not far. In West Hollywood is Stella.
I'm Rob Gentile, Executive Chef Partner from Stella West Hollywood.
From the food to the space, the brand new buzzy Italian restaurant really makes you feel like you gone on vacation.
Inspiration from Italy, but really focus in on what the seasons of California are.
The menu is extensive and delicious. Start with nodini or garlic bread knots, some meaty olives and mozzarella grilled over a wood fire on a lemon leaf. And of course, pasta, homemade every day with some nudes you will rarely see outside of the homeland.
We have a pasta room and all the pastas are handmade, and we put a lot of time and care into every recipe and every shape and how that shape goes with what the sauces and the things that we finish them with.
For our Ripley journey, we kept it simple with a classic pasta pescatore.
An old school sort of fisherman's pasta. All the seafood that you would have or you able to get would go into a pasta. It's a very quintessential Italian dish. It's in most Italian restaurants.
And finished off with the most sensationally beautiful dessert, pistachio, chocolate, and ricotta cake.
Sono Davide Gasparotto, curatore della pittura europea al Getty Museum di Los Angeles.
Art and the work of Italian painter Caravaggio are a big part of the story of Ripley. At the Getty, you can experience a lot of Italian art inspired by Caravaggio.
We are looking at a painting by Bartolomeo Manfredi, which was recently acquired by the Getty Museum, but very much inspired by the style of Caravaggio.
He was known for mixing light and dark, a lot like the black and white film noir that came hundreds of years later.
Revolutionary style for painting to, have these dimly lit rooms where stories are developing. So there is tension, but they always have a component of strong emotion, strong action. You come away with a sense of life.
To the west, the Getty Villa feels a lot like Italy because, well, it's a one-for-one copy of an actual Italian villa. Explore all the intricate detail and reward yourself with a trip to the Roman Empire Gallery of Statues. Admission is free, you just gotta pay to park. And I didn't even have to leave the country, which I totally can do.
Hello? It's Bobby. Are you guys done playing Ripley? Can somebody please let me out of here?
What you just saw was a segment about trying to live the vibe or aesthetic of your favorite TV shows or movies here in real life. And of course, for the segment, I wanted to try to at least somewhat emulate the vibe of the show. That segment aired on TV, so while a lot of people are curious if you can use an Osmo Pocket 3 in a professional setting, you certainly can. Ripley on Netflix is in black and white, it is high contrast, it's mostly all locked off shots, a lot of tripods, almost everything is on sticks. There's a lot of stuff in focus, a lot of wide shots, lots of texture to the images, so I knew I was going to try and emulate that. So obviously, expectation-wise, I had to be a little bit more reasonable. I mean, the show, Ripley, is unbelievably expensive. It's very premium. It was shot in 4.5K on Alexa LF, large format sensor, a little bit bigger than full frame, but clearly a lot of production value, a lot of lighting, a lot of incredible professionals who made that show the way it is. I also did this by myself over the course of about a week. I generally work by myself or in a really small crew, and I've said before how the Pocket 3 is actually really conducive to that. You can get shots a lot faster, you can get more variety quicker, you can be more creative with it, and I think that that helps, especially when you're all by yourself. I was also shooting in restaurants and museums where there wasn't a lot of time, maybe at most 2 hours, to get everything for the segment. And I also didn't bring a light in, I couldn't bring a light in, so everything is natural light. What you're seeing is just creative blocking with the light that was available. But I wanted to get into the Sony FX3 rig that I have here. It's a great camera. I have collected a lot of lenses over the years. I've got zooms and primes, modern glass, and also some vintage stuff as well. For this segment, I used 3 lenses, Sigma 24-70, this is a 2.8, and then I also have the Sony Servo 16-35 G series lens. It's an f4, really lightweight, really nice. I bought it for gimbal work and I use it for wides all the time now. And then also my favorite for this segment specifically is a vintage Soviet lens. It is a Zeiss Geneflectagon. It's a 35mm 2.8. And I bought it on eBay for like a couple $100. It is an M42 mount, which is a Pentax mount, so that's a real old screw-in mount. I will link an adapter for Sony E-mount cameras in the description below. So the Osmo Pocket 3, which I'm actually shooting this on, was pretty much just as is, out of the box. I have the ND filters from Mingvin, which I will link below, and also, of course, the selfie stick, which I use all the time just to even set it up in places and get really cool shots. It's one of the best things I've ever bought. Unfortunately, it is discontinued, but I will link a new version of it in the description below. All right, so the big question is, how well do they match? Can you tell the difference between them? Yes, sure, if you are looking for it, but I don't think that it is distracting. And actually, when I started editing it, I didn't really even think about it anymore. And now when I watch it back, I really don't think about it. The Osmo is really great. It's very sharp. You don't get the same kind of softness that you get with the real glass. And kind of some of the romance, I think, is lost. Romance is a new made-up term. I will say there's probably far more shots on the Osmo Pocket 3 in this series than maybe you would think. Actually, every shot, basically from the beginning all the way up until the point that we're at Dante, is Osmo, with the exception of a couple shots. And I think the big reason is because it's not distracting. It matches enough. You're focused on the story. There's a few things that help with that. Of course, it's in black and white. Black and white, I think, is a lot easier to match because you don't have the specific color signatures of those sensors. However, one trick that I'm doing now that I really like is this thing called Cinematch, where it's made by the people who do Film Convert and allows you to really faithfully transform the color space from one camera to a different camera and to match them together. So essentially what I did with both of them was that first I shot them all flat, then I put Cinematch on there and I graded from their original profiles, which Cinematch has for the Pocket 3 and of course the FX3 also, to Alexa log format, and then I went into Rec 709. There's this moment too where we go from Pocket to FX3 to Pocket, and it goes so smoothly. I don't really notice a difference between those.
Now, just for the sake of seeing it, here is that same sequence, but not in black and white.
Sono Davide Gasparotto, curatore della pittura europea al Getty Museum di Los Angeles.
Cinematch doing all of the work here.
Using the monochromatic creative LUT in Lumetri. I don't know a lot about black and white photography, and I probably should have done a little bit more research, but in the time period that I have, I just got a look that I liked and then I just sort of kept it. Also, cannot say enough good things about Cinematch. I paid for it. Still paid for everything. Would love to have some free stuff to try out every now and then, but I did buy it, and I think that it makes my FX3 footage look better than anything that I've ever really used. Gets it to a really great starting point quickly, which allows me to grade fast and get it done and out quick, because it's so important for me with news to have a quick turnaround. So actually a lot of the opening sequence is Osmo. Maybe that's obvious, maybe it's not. This shot, and this shot were all shot on the Osmo Pocket 3. Only this shot, this one, and this one are FX3. Everything in the hills, all of the driving, that's all Osmo Pocket 3. I walked up there in the middle of the day, I took it out on this selfie stick, put it on the ground or on a ledge, and then I walked around, and I turned around, and I walked back. It's only once we get to a place where we need to see food or close-ups that we start to get into a lot of the FX3 stuff. The wides at Stella, the wides at the Getty Museum, those are all on the Pocket 3. The interview obviously is on the FX3. Now, a lot of other things go into this to make it feel premium or cool. The editing and the pacing I think is really important. I tried to match the tone with a lot of the music and a lot of the sound design from the show that I then put into the segment. Few comments on the last video of people saying, it's great, but it still looks like a toy. And I get that. But this is an example of it used in a professional setting, and I think it works. Got a lot of feedback on this video when it aired on TV, and not one person was like, oh, it was weird that you used two separate cameras. You just can't really tell. You and I might be able to tell, or if you're really plugged into cinematography or you're really watching for that purpose, you might be able to tell, but I don't think that the average viewer is gonna notice it unless something really noticeable happens. At the end of the day, it is so much more about what you're filming and less about what you filmed it on. I'd love to know what you think about all of this. Is it kind of a cheat that I use black and white? Maybe. But maybe I'll do another one coming up that'll be more narrative based, and I'll try to use this and the Pocket 3. It's tough for me to be able to do these videos a little bit because I am working full time at the TV station, which is a great job. I just don't have a lot of time to go do these passion projects that are really fun. I also wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I am humbled and also kind of surprised that so many people found this and found my channel. And I thank you all so much for subscribing. And I spent a lot of time making stuff for other people in other places. And this is the first time I've really started making stuff for myself. So I'm glad you like it. I love doing it. I love talking about cameras and making things, and hopefully I will get to continue to do that.